That's right, folks. It's another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Sunday. We are live to answer all your start-sit questions heading into Week 9. If you're 9-0, 0-9, whatever you need to win this week, we're going to break it down on today's show, starting right now on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. That's right.
What up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome back to the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. I am your host, or one of your four hosts for the day, Sky Guasco. You can find me on Twitter at Sky Guasco, SkyGuasco. We got Bob Lamarco in the place as well. Bobby, Lamarco. Matty Styles, Styles08. And Derek Favret, Derek _Favret. Boys, good morning. How are we feeling from Germany? How are we doing?
Guten Tag.
I hate Jalen Waddle.
Whoa, easy.
My least
H-bomb within 10 seconds. Bob.
And it starts.
Least favorite player.
It's going to be a long
this
day.
season. I have played him every week except last week. Except last week, he has been garbage. He's been like a wide receiver 4. I don't care what anybody says. And then this week, I'm watching him. And the first play, bam, 15 yards. I'm like, this is going to be fun. I'm like, Waddle's back, baby. Brr. It's just horrible. I've had Nico Collins just sitting on my bench for months, just looking up at Jalen Waddle scoring 8 points in half PPR while he goes off half the time. It's just been terrible. I don't like it.
Did we start to call him official garbage?
Oh, love it. Nice.
Trash.
Quick question for the chat room. Are we live?
Yeah, why?
Excellent. Just making sure. My little thing says go live on the bottom, so just want to make sure that we're
And not only are we live, but
streaming out
Bob
to the
started
public.
off just full of piss and vinegar. It's just,
Gonna be a good day.
yeah.
So I like Sleeper because Sleeper tells you how shitty you are as a manager, right? So they give you the points for, and then on the far right they tell you max points you could have had, and like my team in my biggest league is like max points number 1, like 150 points more than anybody, and then it shows where I am at, and I'm like, wow, I feel like dog shit because I've had like 300 points less than I should have had. Thank you, Sleeper. So it tells you. I appreciate that.
It's like you could have had a really great season.
Should have had.
Players.
Yeah.
Can we all agree though? Can we get the first quad agreement that Sleeper is a really good platform?
Yes.
Yeah, it's my favorite, not sponsored.
Yeah.
But
Love
absolutely.
Love that.
Yeah, I've used them all over the years, and I totally agree. All right, everybody. Well, good morning. And those of you that have been watching the first half of Chiefs Fins from Germany, hope you're enjoying that to kick off our day right away. Daylight savings time today as well, gentlemen. So thank goodness we live in 2023 and our phones take care of all that kind of stuff. Because I wake up and all my manual clocks in my house are not correct. And so I'm panicking, thinking I'm an hour late when maybe I'm an hour early. Who knows? Time doesn't quite exist. But here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show, we're getting you ready for Week 9. And as Bob mentioned, whether you're 4-4 or you're up in the upper echelon or the bottom, we still have half a season left. Don't fail us. Don't ditch us. And don't worry about your record too much yet. We are getting you set for the second half of the season. Before we get started here, we got a lot of your questions coming in. So per always, make sure you drop those in. And a quick reminder to everybody, everyone's been so great about it first couple of weeks. But again, make sure to drop in your settings for your league. It really does help us so that we can kind of narrow those PPR, half PPR, standard questions down, especially when we're comparing a running back and wide receiver. So make sure to drop that in there for us as well. And throughout the week, we have plenty of episodes for you as well. So all of our articles are live and free for you on football.razzball.com. You can also check all of us out on a quad box or a version of it every Tuesday evening now as well. So we do the pregame show here Sunday mornings, and then we do a weekly recap on Tuesday evenings, kicking off at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, that logs into YouTube and the podcast so you can look back. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that bell, make sure you don't miss any of our updates, drop a comment, and you can also download the podcast for those of you on the go. Without any further ado, gentlemen, we are ready to go. Can I get a triple thumbs up that we are ready to move on here? 1, 2, 3. Let's rock and roll. Patricio, been maybe a couple weeks off a little bit. Bob, would you mind just dropping the quad box banner there for us with these comments? Appreciate it. Patricio coming in hot per usual. Thank you so much for dropping these in early so we can get to them. Good morning. All right, boys, here we go. Full PPR, bros. We got Derek Carr, Stroud, or Mayfield. Derek, we're going to kick it off with you this week. We'll go Derek, Matt, Bob. We got full PPR, and which doesn't quite matter for quarterbacks, but I do appreciate the setting the list there for the rest of your questions. Quarterback question here. We got Carr, Stroud, or Mayfield.
Yeah, Carr for me. Like the matchup. He's going to be throwing the ball. The other two, I could make some arguments against, but yeah, I really like Carr. He was one of my my picks this week and my 5 things to know. So go with Carr.
I like number 1, Pat Daddy, logging in early, getting his questions lined up, telling us league settings, and by the way, excellent use of punctuation. It could have said, "Good morning, full PPR bros," like we're full PPR bros, or those quarterbacks are.
Which we might be. I'm kind of a PPR bro. You know what I mean? But
he's just letting us know we're his bros, and I dig it. For me, it's Carr as well. So easy pick for me. I wouldn't consider any of the other two or either of the other two over Carr this week. I love Carr. In fact, Derek and I are starting him in our not as important league.
League 2.
League 2, you got it. Somebody's been using his listening ears.
What other ear options are there? Non-listening ears? Is that like another option? Do we have ears that just don't listen?
You're not married yet, Bobby, so you don't know the answer to that.
Hey-o.
I have a fiance, and trust me, she tells me I don't listen every day, so it's fine. I am basically, in that sense, married.
Once you go through the ceremony, you'll know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So the first thing I got to say is that half PPR is the best setting. I don't care what anybody says. Getting a full point for a guy catching a ball at the line of scrimmage is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Why should a running back get 0.8 points for an 8-yard carry when a receiver catches the ball at the line of scrimmage and gets a full point? That's ridiculous. That being said, I digress. If you want to play full PPR, that's fine. I like getting free points for dumb stuff too. So it's just hot takes for days. I'm going Derek Carr as well.
Man, this is going to be a long 2 hours.
Yeah, I feel it too. And Bob, just out of love, man, do you need like a scone or something, or maybe like a raspberry turnover or something to kind of get the vibes right?
I need Jalen Waddle to just remove his head out of his ass and put fantasy points into my lineup. That's what I need. Once you see Jalen Waddle catch a long pass, my mood will start ticking up. I'm just tired of the game that he's playing with me. I think he's calling me out personally. I think Jalen Waddle knows. He's like, all right, Bob's got me in this week. Okay, guys, listen. Don't even bother throwing it to me. It's cool.
Patricio, I'm also going to go Derek Carr this week. It's a pretty easy call for me. He's been playing quite well over the last couple of weeks. 300-yard games in back-to-back games after less than 200 the previous 3 games. Throwing for multiple touchdowns. He's been a top 12 quarterback in the last 3 weeks. I love the matchup versus the Chi-Town Bears. So I'm going to go Derek Carr pretty handily there as well. And am I correct, boys? Did we just kick off the show with a quad box?
We did.
Was that a 4-ski right off the bat? All right, we're rolling. As soon as we get Bob dialed in, we're going to be synced up this week. I'm really excited about that.
I'm on auto ignore. I'm not listening. I know I ranted last week. I'm just not listening to Bob until he gets his attitude correct. And you guaranteed there is no raising the roof from Bob.
No.
You asked for an early one and a late one. It's not happening.
The only thing I'm doing is burning the roof down. That's what I'm going to be doing today. So
he's like the little dog meme that's like, everything's fine. This is fine. As the whole room burns around him. You know what I mean?
Sky, did you know that the roof the
roof is on fire?
It is.
We don't need to. Okay, let's move on here. We got the wide receivers here for the PPR bros. So this is where PPR does come into context. So let's take that into consideration here. Pat Daddy wants to know next 2 wide receivers, boys. Pittman, Puka, who is either definitely active or trending in the right direction last I saw, which is great. But what is Matt Stafford feeling today? Jacoby Myers and our boy Josh Downs. These are 4 favorites here on the show. Derek, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I'll take the two Indy receivers first. Carolina has actually been one of the better teams against the slot. 70% of the scoring, does come against the wideouts, which is Pittman of the two. So I'll take Pittman over Downs, and I'm leery of Puka. I've been burnt here before, but it sounds what I read earlier sounds like he is going to play, but he's going to have Brett Rippon throwing him the ball, which makes me a little leery. So I am going to go Pittman and Jacoby Myers with his showing off for his new interim head coach.
I want to start Puka. We have a league where we'd have to drop a running back in order to add somebody to start over Puka. So we're just going to start him and hope for the best. As Mark Rippon Jr. is under center. Shout out to the Cougs. I'm probably doing the same thing Derek is doing. I'm probably going Pittman and Jacoby Myers as well. I think the Skies Raiders really turned it on for Antonio Pierce this week.
Oh my God, bro! I'm gonna let it slide because it's early, but that was deep. That was a little dirty. I'm not gonna lie. That was rough. Fucking Raiders.
Sky, can you make your pick? I want to look up Aiden O'Connell's stats from his one game. So can you answer first? I want to look this up.
I sure can. Pittman has been effective in fantasy points by the end of the week, which ultimately is all we care about. We just need the points by the end of the game. But in like 4 consecutive games, it's been 80% of a big play, and that's really hard to count on. I don't love that. Josh Downs, for me, does not have a great matchup, but he's kind of a set it and forget it for me, and I think us on the program the last month plus. And I don't love Jacoby Myers this week, because he dropped the ball last week and it was just a disaster with Jimmy getting benched. But I really believe that Devontae Adams literally has like 15 plus targets today, and that's just not enough to go around. So Puka's in a tough situation, so is Jacoby Myers, but I'm going to go Downs and Pittman in this particular matchup this week. But in general, of course, it's Puka, but we don't know what's going on with him and the Rams in general, and then Jacoby Myers as well. So I'm going to just process of elimination this guy and go Pittman and Downs. Bob, back to you.
Yeah. So excuse me, folks. Aiden O'Connell and his Lone Start. Today's gonna be a fun day. 238 and 1 interception in this game against the Chargers. You're right. He actually targeted Devontae Adams 13 times, 8 for 75 in that game. But he also threw the ball to Josh Jacobs, 8 receptions for Jacobs, and Myers was the man out in that one. The Giants' defense is not bad. I think the Giants have a weird season so far, but their defense has really picked it up over the last few weeks. So you know what? I'm actually going to go Puka. Listen, Brett Rippon. I talked about this this morning. Brett Rippon last year had 2 starts for the Broncos. He targeted Jerry Jeudy relentlessly and his tight ends a lot, so he focuses more on the middle of the field. That's probably going to be Cooper Kupp. I'm actually going to be okay fading Puka this week, so I'm going to go Pittman. Oh, man. And I'm going to go Jacoby Myers anyway. I just don't know. You know what? I like it. Pittman and Downs. Let's do it. Pittman and Downs. I'm going with Sky on this one.
Pittman and Downs it is. Let's move on here to a kicker question. Bobby, go right to you for these. McPherson, Groupie.
Blake Groupie, folks, back at it again last week. 6 kicking opportunities. 5, of course, were extra points, unfortunately, but he's got another plus matchup this week against the Bears. He's my number 2 kicker on the week. The only guy ahead of him is the Rams kicker, but I am not touching that matchup, especially with Stafford out. So Blake Groupie is my start of the week.
Got it. My other league, we need to pick a tight end here. Taysom Hill, David Njoku. Derek?
Yeah, well, I've been struggling with this all week in one of my leagues too, with some other names, and I am going to just roll with Taysom Hill. He's hot. He's off injury designation. The Saints have looked better with him more involved in the offense, so I have to think that their coaching staff realizes that and wants to keep it going. So for me, it's Taysom Hill.
Got the ball game on there. Okay, Matt, go ahead.
I'm going to do the same thing. I didn't love it 3 weeks ago. I'm coming around to Taysom Hill, and he did what he needed to for us last week. Unfortunately, nobody else did.
Oh, bummer.
So I think I'm going to start with I'm going to go with Taysom Hill, and unless I think right now, unless you have an Andrews, a Hawkinson, a Kelsey, Taysom Hill is kind of right up in that group right now for you have to start him based on the fact that, like we mentioned on Tuesday, his snaps in the game on Sunday were the exact snaps that you need for him to be successful. So if they learned anything in the film room, it's that we used him exactly how we should 2 weeks in a row. Go back to using him. And I'm going to go and double down on our Derek Carr. Derek Carr will have 1 reception from Taysom Hill today.
Derek Carr, 1 reception. Love that. So there you go, folks. Smash the over on 0.5 receptions for Derek Carr this week. Bob?
There is no analysis that I can give you about Taysom Hill. Like, he had 1 catch last week, but he had a bunch of carries and it's like, so the question is, Tricia, do you feel lucky? You feel that the luck is there for you, go with Taysom Hill. I honestly have nothing for you. I don't even know when you could start him because he's not a tight end. He doesn't catch passes always. So now you got Jawan Johnson back. Your guess is as good as mine. Question is, do you feel comfortable with David Njoku going up against Arizona? I don't. So I would just take the higher upside and did Taysom Hill this week.
Arizona's been a really cush matchup for tight ends the last 3 or 4 years, and they're being kind of an auto start against, but they're not this year. They've been quite good. Taysom Hill has scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. You're right. He only had 1 reception for 14 yards last week, but he had 63 yards on the ground. And as all Alvin Kamara managers know too well, he's maybe the goal line back, which is insane. Before that, though, week 6 and 7, he had 7 receptions, 49 yards, and then he had 4 catches for 50 yards and a receiving touchdown. So they are using him all over the field. I think they continue to do that. For me, with Taysom Hill, are the Saints going to drive the ball and have multiple scoring opportunities in that matchup? I thought so against Jacksonville, thought so against the Colts. I think so against Chicago. I'm going to fire up Taysom Hill, but that is certainly a risky move. Gracias por todo. De nada, amigo.
De nada.
All right, what are some good defensive targets this week? Right now, I have the Texans and the Patriots. Unless anyone else has anything to add, I'll bring up my rankings here in a sec.
If Cleveland's out there, give them a shot. Obviously, they're one of the top defenses. They're probably not available.
Number 1 for me this week.
Yeah, and I think Derek actually has got me to fancy the Baltimore Ravens defense a little bit.
Number 3 for me this week.
Yeah, and I don't mind the Texans here either, honestly. In their matchup with the Bucs in Texas, I think there's an opportunity there for them. They're pretty solid. So I wouldn't mind the Texans, but I defer to you, Sky.
Of these 2 particular teams, the Texans and the Patriots you mentioned here, I have the Patriots actually significantly higher.
Okay.
Washington, I love my boy Sammy Howell. He's been crushing it, but their offensive line is dreadful. And I just feel like Bill can mark it up on defense for a game. Patriots are at home, so I like that quite a bit there as well. And for Houston, they're home as well. But, I mean, sneaky Baker, man, they can make it work. And I just think that that's kind of a low-key shootout there, whereas I think the Patriots and Washington game is going to be just ugly and a slog. So got them at 7. I agree with Matt, though. Browns and Ravens are in my top 3. Saints are also there. Falcons, Chargers, Steelers round out my top 6 if you have a streamer. And another team that maybe people forgot about a little bit on DST because the offense has been struggling. But Packers are absolutely a great play at home in bad weather against a dome team and Ripon as well. So the Packers are around. They might be one of my favorite streaming teams with the Patriots most likely rostered already. All right, let's get into the first one from our boy Beach. Good morning, Razzball Fantasy PPR Downs Khalil Shakur. Look at that, or Shakir, but I like Shakur because I'm a Tupac guy, whatever. Khalil Shakir, Josh Downs. Derek?
Yeah, I think I might be the odd man out here, but I'm actually going to lean Shakir in this one. The matchup for Downs just isn't nearly as good as it is for Shakir. And granted, he's only getting a few looks, but he's making the most of them. If you can roll the dice, I'm going Shakir. If you need a fairly solid floor, I understand if you want to go with Downs, but I'm going to roll with Shakur and try to grab the upside there. I normally think Downs has that upside, but this week I don't. So Shakur for me.
Yep. That's two of us.
Wow.
I'm going to go Downs.
Yeah, I'm going to go Downs too, but I'm looking into Khalil Shakir right now. Obviously, with Dawson Knox being out, right? He's the third option. He's the third wide receiver for the Bills. Then you have James Cook, and now we have Dalton Kincaid, who I mean, outside of Kelsey, he's my number 2.5 behind Andrews tight end this week. I think in a great matchup versus Cincinnati. So I like Downs, but you guys are right. The matchup's not great, and he does have a bit of a knee injury, but he's going to be active. I'm going to stick with Downs because I know what he's going to do when he's out there, but I love the Khalil Shakir rip there. So we're going to go 50-50 on this one. Sorry not to help there, Beach, but I do like you guys calling out Shakir. We're going to keep an eye on that today. I just want to see it one time while he's down the pecking order there. Jets fan, Jerome Ford, Rachaad White. I'm assuming this is PPR. And sorry, Jets fan, I know you're in here every single week, but I forget some of these settings with so many people. So if you can remind us real quick, I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, we're going to go half PPR here. Derek, we'll go to you.
Yeah, for me, it all depends on the format. If it's a PPR, I'm rolling with White and not looking back. If it's anything less than that, I'm going with Ford.
I mean, the exact same opinion, and I will tell you that I want it to be Ford because we are facing Rachaad White in both of our home leagues. So I prefer it to be Ford. I'm assuming that there are very few standard leagues anymore, so it's probably a minimum half PPR. If it's full PPR, it's Rachaad White all day. If it's half PPR, I probably will go Ford.
I'm going to go.
I want it to be Ford. I want it to be Ford.
Yeah, I'm going to lean White here. I think Ford's still kind of dealing. He came back quick from that high ankle sprain. I guess it wasn't that severe, but he then split work with Pierre Strong and Kareem Hunt. There's a 3-man rotation, so I'll take my chances with White this week.
I'm going to go White too, and it's more about Kareem Hunt. Like, we're not talking about Kareem Hunt. He's absolutely involved. The Browns have had a rough schedule coming out of the bye. They had a bye week in week 5. Then they had the Niners, the Colts in Indy, Seattle in Seattle, and Jerome Ford had rough games each week. And then a plus matchup today versus the Cardinals. But Kareem Hunt on the other side, especially in those half and full PPR leagues, he's the one, getting the receptions, has scored 4 touchdowns in 3 weeks. So I'm going to lean Rachaad White there as well. Not much of a runner, but if you're in any type of PPR league, he certainly, I think, has the upper hand there in Cleveland in general. Puka Nacua, Demario Douglas.
Oh boy, this one's ugly. Obviously, we want to go Puka, but for the reasons I said earlier, his injury, his quarterback, it really makes me want to look the other way. I don't know. I think to be safe, this kind of goes back to need. If to be safe, you run with Puka, but if you feel you have the opportunity to, shoot for the moon, go with Douglas. But I'm thinking I'm leaning Puka here, but I don't love it.
I'm the same. I'm leaning Puka unless you're doing DFS, and then I take the significant price discount on Demario Douglas. So I know most of our guys aren't looking at DFS, but that's the only way I would lean Douglas over Puka.
I'm going to go Douglas.
Jeez. I just looked at my rankings. I have Douglas, Puka, and Cooper Kupp lower than ECR across the board. So I was hoping to find an edge there, but I don't. I'm going to lean Puka as well. Again, I just think of the overall matchup, and I would imagine that, Cooper Kupp's going to continue to get the number one coverage there. So I think Puka breaks free a little bit. He needs to bounce back. I won't go too much into my trade article that's on the website if you guys want to check it out last minute here. Derek's Things to Know, Matt's waiver article, Bob's Slot versus Wide. They're all available for you right now for last minute checks. But I went into detail with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp as a trade away candidate. And that the two of them have been struggling the last 3 weeks, period. And now they have Brett Rippon. So I don't love that. I'm going to lean Puka here just because I think the Rams have a better chance of moving the football a little bit today. And I just want to see Demario Douglas do it again. So we'll see what happens next week. Jets fan, we got one more from you. We got a DST question. We got the Jets versus the Chargers and Green Bay versus the Rams. This one seems easy to me, but Derek, we're going to go to you here and we'll go round robin quickly.
Yeah, same here. Green Bay. I just everything to me points to a down day for the Rams, and in Green Bay's defense has really been probably the only bright spot that they have on that squad. Sorry, Matt, but that seems to be the case. And so, yeah, between the two, I'm going Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Green Bay too. The only issue I have, the only concern, well, two of them. They traded Rudy Ford this week, who's been one of the better, probably the best guy on the back end. And also they are abysmal against the run. I don't understand it. I can't figure it out with the front four that they've got, but it is what it is. If the Rams are smart, they'll run Henderson and Freeman until the wheels come off and hope for a 17-14 game. But by the way, it's not going to be 14 for Green Bay because they simply can't score touchdowns. So low scoring. I look for Green Bay to be the better D. I'm not excited about starting anybody against the Chargers D. The fact that they just put up points all the
time. Yeah, Packers at home.
Packers at home as well. I've got them back-to-back. Packers 5, Chargers 7 with the Steelers in between, but I'm going to go with Green Bay there as well. Daniel, good morning. Should I stick with the Jets DST or the Chargers? We just answered that question, more or less. But or do I drop one of them for New England versus Hal or Atlanta versus Hall? So I'm just going to break out my rankings here really quickly. Let's see. We got the Falcons up at 4, Green Bay at 5, Steelers, Chargers, Patriots, Eagles, Cowboys, Texans, Giants, then the Jets. So I think if you're sticking up high, I would go with New England or formerly San Diego there. They're back-to-back for my rankings there as well. So I like the home team in a DST matchup when you can and try to get the advantage with the quarterback there.
So, Sky, before we move on that, it sounds like he needs to drop the Jets. Are you still in favor of him dropping the Jets moving forward to make this move today, or hold on to them to stick with them today to hold on to them rather than
Okay, so great. Thank you for the addendum there. So the Jets have the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Don't love that. Then they get the Raiders. They might destroy the Raiders. Awesome. But then they get Buffalo and Miami, Atlanta, and then Miami again. So long term, no, I'm not interested in the Jets. I think you can do better options. And honestly, you could probably drop them and pick them back up if you want for next week against the Raiders. But I think there's better options for this week. And if you had to drop, I have a tough time keeping 2 DSTs unless they're an automatic huge upside DST. The Jets are good. They're just not game changers on your roster. So no, I do not feel like I need to hold on to them. Daniel with another question here. Puka or Lockett? Derek, half PPR.
Yeah, even though this is half PPR, I mean, we can lock it in, get the pun there, lock it in. 8 to 9 targets per game. So that's a guaranteed 4 to 5 points, most likely, right off the bat. We already talked about with Puka, the quarterback situation, the injury. I think there's risk there, especially, even in a half PPR because, he might get, 3 catches all day and that's just not going to do it. So too much risk there for Puka for me in this situation. I'm going with Lockett.
I will tell you that my number one regular quarterback to sit this week is Geno Smith against Baltimore. So as much as I would love to lock it in, tip your waitress, get the veal. We'll be here all week. I'm going to still lean
veal.
Puka.
Wow.
The veal's the best. It's best.
It makes sense. I just thought it was.
We're going to get probably 100 Puka questions today, and I'm just going to stick with Puka. I'm going to ride him. We'll see what happens. Only in this matchup, I'm doing it because I'm sitting Geno as well. And by the way, I have a league where I have Geno, Stafford, and God, I'll find that. Oh, and Fields. What a wonderful trio that's turned
Hey,
out.
man, if only you had the high upside consistency of Baker Mayfield on that team.
Yeah, top 12 quarterback. All right, Bob. So I'm going Puka. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm okay with Lockett. If you look at the guys that have performed well against Baltimore, Marquise Brown, similar kind of speed set, smaller receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown is another type of player who went off against them. So, not gone off, but played well. Josh Downs, Michael Pittman Jr. I don't know. I would say I'm not gonna play Brett Rippin, Puka Nacua on the road against a solid Packers secondary with Jair Alexander and company. So in this scenario, I'm still going to go Lockett.
Bob's been talking about it for 2 or 3 weeks in the matchup recaps that the secondary for the Baltimore Ravens has gotten healthy, and they are back to being the Ravens. Oddly enough, you can run against the Ravens these days, so give me some Ken Walker maybe in this game, but not loving the matchups there either for Geno Smith specifically, although I do think that DK starts, getting that number one, and they got to account for JSN as well. So I think it's actually a sneaky game here for Tyler Lockett, who's been a bit banged up for the season, but he was really healthy last week, had his highest route and target share of the season last week. So I'm actually going to slide with Tyler Lockett, only because, again, we don't know what's going on with the Rams, Puka himself, Rippin, or the Rams' overall offense. So give me Tyler Lockett and what could be a pretty brutal game in Baltimore for Seattle going all the way across the country. But it only takes one for Tyler Lockett, so let's see what happens. Jefferson
Tua just missed Jalen Waddle on a 50-yard touchdown. Didn't even look at him. He had nobody in the screen but Jalen Waddle. And
that's super cool.
He threw to Smythe for a first down.
Oh, you got to go Durham Smythe underneath.
He is. He's sure hands, right?
Safety blanket, move the chains.
Yep, let's move
I'm gonna rename all my fantasy teams with Jalen Waddle to Durham Smythe underneath, because that's just the story of my season. Because Durham Smythe and Jeff Wilson are catching a bunch of passes while Jalen Waddle is just.
Shout out Jeff Wilson. That's my guy.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Jeff, person 23, shouts out a boy, another writer for Razzball. You can find all the articles at football.razzball.com. Week 9, LFG. Matt, what does that stand for?
Fire the grill.
That's okay. That's what I got. I was like, Lorenzo, fire the grill. I just want to make sure that we weren't
Lorenzo, or you could have just said, "Let's fire the grill."
That's true.
Lorenzo, very specific. I love Lorenzo. Don't get me wrong; he's one of my favorites. But no shot against Lorenzo at all.
And if you're a fan of Elf, Lorenzo, that's fun to say. Even though it's Francisco, but yeah, you get it.
I'm trying, man. It's pretty much Christmas if you go into any convenience store. So I was trying to get the holiday spirit going. Speaking of veal and Lorenzo, can I get a shout out for Lorenzo Neal?
Oh, look at that.
Big beefy.
Let's move on here.
That's pulling it together early on a West Coast morning.
And if we're going to do 7 degrees of separation, let's do it now. I'll go with Lorenzo White.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can go all day with – Lorenzo's my favorite name, so we can go all day. My second favorite name, though, at least right now in this current moment, is
Cedric Wilson Jr.
God damn it. Is Hunter Dahlberg. That's my second favorite name right now. And Hunter wants to know, struggling between JSN, Dobbs, and Mingo. Haven't seen a Mingo drop in quite a while this week in PPR. JSN, Dobbs, and Mingo. Derek?
Yeah, boy, this is pulling deep. To me, it is going to be Mingo. Just looking at the matchups for the 3, and I see the most upside to Mingo. So I'm leaning that way of these 3.
I believe Baby Chark is out. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I think Thielen has the tougher matchup for Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Dobbs has got a decent matchup, but I don't know that they're going to be. I think it's going to be Aaron Jones, who's off the injury report. So I think Green Bay is going to force people to stop bitching about Aaron Jones. But as I wrote in my article, I love JSN. So They're going to double one of DK Metcalf or lock. I know it goes against the analytical nerd stuff. My gut tells me JSN touchdown 3rd week in a row. Bob, did you hear that Cedric Wilson just caught a deep touchdown pass for Miami?
You know, it's funny. I have, like we talked about pre-show, I have everything you can imagine to watch football. I subscribe to Paramount Plus, so I can watch CBS. I got Fox. I got everything you can imagine. NFL Plus. I can't get it on my thing, so I'm watching on NFL Bite. So it's on tape delay. So I heard you go, Cedric Wilson touchdown, and I'm watching the screen, and then the next play happens, and I watch Cedric Wilson score a touchdown, and all I wanted to do was just I wanted to just scream at Lorenzo. That's what I wanted to do.
Oh,
anyway,
man, hey, don't bring Lorenzo into this.
Dude, Lorenzo, I'm tired of your shit. Get it together. Anyway.
Lorenzo, good friend of the show. Thanks for calling.
Hey, shout out Lorenzo.
Great friend of the show. Obviously, he knows I'm joking. I love him to death. I'm gonna just go Romeo Dobbs here.
Oh my God, this is a sloppy one. I'm sorry, Hunter. We're all over the place here. JSN's my guy. A lot of underneath stuff. Scored the last couple of weeks. That's going to be my pick, but I love Derek's sneak attack pick with Jonathan Mingo. Second on the team, makes sense behind Adam Thielen, but increasing his workload the last couple of weeks. Big 40-yard reception last week as well, 62 yards on a season high, and with Chark out, he could see his role expanding. And the Colts are just a terrible matchup. I just don't quite trust the Panthers overall, so I'm going to go with JSN in a PPR league. But if you're in like a half or standard, Mingo might actually get the nod there. Yeah. I love me some Romeo Dobbs. I drafted him everywhere. He was like my round 14 sleeper boom pick or whatever with Watson out. First month of the season, on fire. After that, the Packers have gone down. Sorry, Matt, but Dobbs has gone with them, and it's been really it's unexplainable, unfortunately. So he's going to be out for me there.
What? No further need to apologize about the Packers. I am a realist. I know how bad they are. I'm over it, right? I've talked to my therapist. We got it all out. I went a little crazy last week when we started the show, right? I'm done. I'm good. I'm in a good place. Speaking of not being in good places, Bob, over to you.
Yeah, DJ Chark's not out today. DJ Chark's playing today. I don't know why. I don't know where that came from, but he is listed as questionable, but he is expected to play.
Okay.
I'll stick with JSN then.
And I just want to foreshadow that there's going to be an entry in the group text that has the word Mingo in it sometime this afternoon.
I like
all caps.
Just let you know. All caps.
And Derek, I'm not against you necessarily. Bob, I appreciate the addendum. The last I heard was the questionable tag, unexpected to play or not expected to play. Looks like he is trending in the right direction. DJ Chark. So good catch there. He must have woke up feeling groovy. All right, let's move on here. I think we did this already. Let me just double check here. Jets fan, sorry, we thanks for your time. Not a problem. AJ, good morning and welcome back. Oh, lost you there. All right, morning, gents. Deep. This is that 14-team PPR, boys. 14-teamer. So everything changes a little bit here. Struggle question. Need a streaming tight end. Ingram's on a bye. We got Conklin versus the Chargers. Granson versus the Panthers. Mayer versus the Giants. Jawan Johnson, who's the second best tight end on the Saints, versus the Bears. And we have Bellinger as well with Darren Waller on IR versus the Raiders. We got a lot of streaming tight ends here, boys. What do we think?
Yeah, this one, thanks for AJ to get this one in early because this one, it took me a little time to go through all the options here. I really want this to be Mayer, but we just don't know what we're going to get from that new Vegas offense. The matchup's great. New quarterback. I don't know. I can't go there. So to me, I'm going with the second tight end in New Orleans versus the Bears. Jawan Johnson for me.
I want it to be Mayer as well, but I am not hesitating in starting Daniel Bellinger with Daniel Jones back.
It's funny. I actually agree. If you're looking for another deeper name that I kind of have a weird feeling about is Cade Otton going against Texans today.
Yeah, I agree.
For another deeper name as well, but I like Bellinger. I'm kind of dealing with the same thing. I have Evan Ingram on a bye, And I've been asking you guys, and we talked a little bit about Gerald Everett. We talked a little bit about Cole Kmet. But Bellinger, I'm like, man, like there's no Darren Waller. He was starting to flash a little bit last year. And the Giants just don't really have much receiving help there. But I think Bellinger, in a plus matchup against the Raiders, I feel comfortable that he can get you a few catches this week.
I'm with you. I start Otten over this list today. Not long term, but today.
Boy. Cade Otton's getting the most looks. I'll give you that. Out of this group, I mean, all these guys are getting 2 targets a game. Like you're completely banking on a touchdown. Bellinger probably is the best option there because he's the only option, at least at the tight end position.
So essentially, they're getting 2 more targets than Bob.
Correct.
And I'm slightly insulted. And I feel targeted. So that's 1 target. So now it's only 1 target more because you just targeted me in a negative way.
Nice,
so
nice.
See what I did there? So now I got a target. So whatever.
Yeah,
Anyways,
fair enough. I'm gonna lean Bellinger. I think Taysom Hill keeps it going. I agree with Derek. I just can't trust Mayer yet. Kylan Granson, I mean, it's just, Colts are kind of hit or miss there at the tight end position, and we don't know who's going to be that guy. And then Conklin, again, getting two targets a week. So I'll just take the upside there with Bellinger. Pat Daddy back 3 points for dumb stuff. I mean, he's not wrong, Bob. I think that was Bob. That was you.
That was the PPR earlier. Rant.
Yeah. Getting 3 points for dumb stuff. So I like to see that.
Quick update. Puka Nacua has been removed from the injury report. He is fully healthy. Mark Rippon to Puka Nacua season.
Wow, like to hear that, man. Big Tutu Atwell week this week. Love to see that.
Guy, quick quiz. It's not a positive nickname, but can you give me the nickname that Mark Rippon got in college?
Oh God, no.
Okay, when we sign off, remind me. I'll tell you. I'm not going to tell you.
All right, fair enough. Also, boys, I got the missus asking for some help in about 15 minutes. I'll have to step away for 5 minutes. Just a heads up there. All right, we got full PPR, hold and start McBride, or cut and add Hunter Henry or Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett coming back. I've already ranted about Gerald Everett in our group text, so you guys know how I feel about that situation. Tight ends are non-existent versus the Browns. Tight ends have had success versus Washington. And, of course, they have no more Kendrick Bourne, who is now on IR, and Devontae Parker as well. So McBride is a lock and load for me. Derek?
Not for me. No, I'm not chasing that 10 for 91 and a touchdown last week against Cleveland, especially with the fact that he's going to be catching balls from Clayton Tune today. So, no, I am cutting him. I like both options. Honestly, I like both of them better than McBride here. I'm leaning a little bit on the Everett side, and that's only because, although I like the matchup for Henry versus the Commanders, but he's only averaging 3 targets a game, and that's been pretty standard, especially lately. So Everett has no injury designation. The Chargers have to throw the ball against the Jets. I like his potential on Monday Night Football versus slightly better than Henry just because of the lack of targets, and I like both of them over McBride.
I will be very honest, as I always am, right? Sky, it's something you tell me you appreciate, right? Transparency, honesty. This has nothing to do with analytics. This has nothing to do with statistics. This is pure hatred for Henry and Everett because every time I've ever started them, they've shit the bed. So give me Trey McBride.
Oh man, I love the brain train there though. Like you get to where you're going, and it makes sense. I appreciate the that breakdown there. All right, so give me 2 more seconds on the Trey McBride thing. So you're absolutely right. The Browns have destroyed tight ends at the position technically, and if you look up metrics and you Google tight ends versus the Browns in fantasy football, the Browns are literally the worst matchup for tight ends. Okay, but listen to who they've played. Irv Smith. Shouts out to our boy. We all want him to be good. He's not. They don't use him in Cincinnati. Pat Freiermuth hurt immediately in that game. Chika Okonkwo didn't do anything. Mark Andrews blew up for 5 for 80 and 2 touchdowns. George Kittle got a bit injured and he had 1 target. That doesn't count. Andrew Ogletree for the Colts didn't do anything. Noah Fant, 2 catches for 32 yards, but he's not really a big option there in Cincinnati or in Seattle either. Trey McBride, I'm not going to chase the 14 targets and a touchdown, but if I can get 7 targets, 4 receptions, and 40 yards, that's what every other tight end gets. And I think he has a higher opportunity in that offense with limited share to get that touchdown. So if you're looking at bottom of the barrel options anyway, that's going to be my guy. 2 touchdowns today for, or a Monday night, I should say, for my boy Darnold Parham. We got another. Oh, here we go. Breaking down the statistics.
Can I answer, or is that okay? Am I allowed to answer as well, or do I just skip over it out? You know, like, I mean, what is this today? All right. I mean, honestly, I have nothing really good to add, but I will say this. The Jets, the one thing that's notable about the Jets is that they are one of the better teams yards after the catch in the sense of allowing yards after the catch. So they do not allow a lot of vertical stuff, and Gerald Everett is one of those tight ends that catches a lot of short passes and has to do a lot of damage after the catch. Now there's no Josh Palmer this week, so they're really going to be thin at the receiver position, and so I expect Everett to get some more looks. Plus, it's the Arizona Cardinals with a rookie quarterback on the road in Cleveland. So I'm going to go with Gerald Everett because there's no Josh Palmer, and the matchup with the Jets could be good for him.
Love that. And shouts out here with all these stats. Like, dude, I'm a sports numbers weirdo, right? Like, I don't do math good, but sports math like makes sense in my brain. So I appreciate that. And I want to take a second for myself here, boys. And Bob, also, can we double check here? Are we 9 minutes away from an injury report? Can I just check in with you quick to see if we're doing that? All right, great. 9 minutes, folks. We're going to check in with Bob. Matt, Derek, and I are going to step away for a few minutes, get you a full rundown of the injury reports. We're going to have ins and outs, last-minute ads, what you can do on all sides of the ball. So not just fantasy players. We're talking DBs and linebackers, defensive line, offensive line, swap in. So stick around for that. Get those injury questions in. Beach. Yo, look, man, we go way back, okay? I know Matt threw out the Raiders slander, and I let that go. I get it. I understand. It's been a rough season for a lot of people. Raiders are the Raiders, Rum in the Bay, whatever. The Cowboys is the only one deeper than the Raiders, right? Also, the Niners slaughtered the Cowboys. It's not gonna, I can't have the Cowboys fan situation. So we're gonna have to take that one off screen there. So be careful. Also, so far, boys, let me scroll through really quick. I do not see official Savage in the chat today. So Derek, I hope, or Matt, I hope we didn't hurt any feelings or anything. But if he comes in, we'll catch him on the second hour. All right, let's do about 3 more questions or so, and then we're going to get into the injury report. AJ is back. I guess it's just my week to struggle. Would you guys prefer Bryce Young in the revenge game? Love to see the coaching revenge game, or Jordan Love versus the Rams? Derek?
Young for me, beyond the narrative, although I do like that one this week. We know Indy's going to be throwing the ball left and right. Here's hoping. I've got Minshew playing in one of my leagues. Here's hoping that he connects with a few, which means that we need to see something similar from the young quarterback who got his first win last week. So I can't imagine Coach Reich would want to walk out of that stadium with the tail between his legs. So he's going to unleash his young quarterback, a little bit of confidence. I'm going Young. And speaking of confidence, that's one thing we have not seen a lot of coming out of Mr. Love. So I will pass on that, go with the young quarterback, and let's hope for a shootout. Looking for the game. 44 is the line on that one. I'll take the over. Young in the over.
Bryce Young for me. Bob, over to you. Hey, you know what? When I said that it's okay, that I'm over it, right? I've dealt with it. I understand.
I literally was waiting for it. That was too quick. I was like, bro, you're boiling. I could smell that. That was amazing.
it's not a free pass. It's not a free pass to back the truck up over Green Bay. But I get it, right? I understand. I'm just letting you know that I caught it. I'm identifying that I understood where you're coming from. I don't have to like it, but I have to take it. So, yeah.
That was so good, dude. Oh man.
Oh, Jeff Wilson Jr.
I'm just gonna go Bryce Young.
That's 3.
Bryce Young. All right. Bryce Young is going to be a quad box. I'll just make one more note about Jordan Love, and this is why I make the differentiation there. The Rams play zone coverage, 9th highest in the NFL. Jordan Love versus the zone has the most interceptions of any quarterback against zone in the NFL this year with 8. And he has the lowest adjusted completion rate as well. So I don't love that matchup in general. I think it's a lot of running backs. And Matt came out this week and said something I'm paraphrasing, gotta get him going for Aaron Jones. So I know it's coaches speak. We've been over at Aaron Jones. I don't want to get into a 30-minute rant about how pissed we are about the Aaron Jones situation. But if it doesn't happen this week, maybe you just drop the guy. 2 more questions here.
Hey, Matt LaFleur, you're calling the plays, dipshit.
Correct. All right. Puro Castillo. Is this a new name?
It is.
All right. Welcome to the
show. Looks like an Aaron Donald icon there. So it looks like a Rams fan there. I appreciate that. All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Here for y'all. Hereby for Lamar and Dell Downs Myers full PPR league ? Okay, let me try to break this down a little bit here. Let's go with Herbie. I'm sorry. I had a hereby like this is
touchdown Dolphins.
Sorry about that.
I'm operating on a tape delay, Matt. Can we just?
I'm not going to tell you, Bob. All I'm going to tell you is you're going to be really happy. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Oh, gee. Well, that basically okay.
Now you're building the hype. So this is either a major raise the roof or Bob's going to be off the show in 3, 2.
I'm still operating on a tape delay. All right.
Awkward.
Keep going.
Okay. Really quick, Herbie or Lamar, and then Dell Downs or Myers. Derek, we'll go to you.
Yeah, Lamar for me. I don't mind either one of these quarterbacks. I just think Lamar gives you a little more opportunity for mixed points than Herbie does. So I'm going to lean Lamar. And then on the wide receiver side, we've talked about Downs and Myers already, but we haven't really talked about Tank Dell. And so I actually had a question on Dell on my article last night. And it turns out Tampa defense is allowing the 6th most fantasy points per game to wideouts. 58% of those going to the slot, which happens to be where Dell runs 64% of the time, plus Robert Woods is out. So Robert Woods has been getting 6 to 9 targets per game. I'm expecting some of those to go to Dell in this matchup. And so it's a strong endorsement for Dell for me in this of these 3.
What does Lamar usually do after a down statistical game?
Go nuts. He's my number 1 quarterback.
And he's not going to let Gus Edwards score 3 touchdowns. So all of the people jumping on Gus Edwards, mistake this week. I would not play him against Seattle's run D. However, that's not part of the question. Lamar for me, because he's going to go off. He's not going to put up 11 or 12 fantasy points this week. And I'm with Derek. We don't like Aiden O'Connell for Jacoby Myers. We don't like the matchup for Josh Downs. And the numbers spell a Tank Dell season for today. In fact, I can go Dell or Nico Collins. We just need C.J. Stroud to be early season C.J. Stroud and not recency bias C.J. Stroud. So same for me. So that's 2 of us with Lamar and Dell.
So I do want to go on record to say that Noah Brown is the main slot guy with Robert Woods out. It's not Tank Dell. But the thing is, they rotate these guys pretty well. I mean, Nico and Tank Dell see about a third of their snaps in the slot. They both saw multiple targets last week from the slot. That's fine. And when I'm looking at these matchups across the board, first of all, Lamar Jackson slam dunk for me. Herbert against the Jets, no thank you, especially with Josh Palmer now out. This matchup too, we talked about everything breaking down. I think I'm going to lean Tank Dell. Easy Josh Downs is a really tough matchup against Carolina, and Myers is dealing with a rookie against the Giants. So I'm going to go Dell and Lamar.
Yep, same. Dell as well. Lamar Jackson had season-high rushing attempts back-to-back after some dud weeks this season. He's been top 10, otherwise top 2, 3 weeks in a row before that. So I'm going to go Lamar Jackson over my boy Herbie. Last question. We're going to take a break, and I got to step away, boys, but I'll see you in a few minutes after the injury report. Aaron Jones, Amari Cooper. I'm going to stick with Aaron Jones. I want to believe in Matt LaFleur one more time. I'm going to go Aaron Jones. I'll catch you guys back in a few minutes.
No, not for me. I have very, very little confidence in Aaron Jones. I do think he's going to right the ship, but Amari Cooper against the Arizona Cardinals defense is allowing almost 30 points a game to wideouts. Give me Amari Cooper all day.
You know who I want it to be, but who I think it's going to be is Amari Cooper. Yep. The only hesitation, and it's worth mentioning, is Deshaun Watson has been acting like a puss all year with his throwing shoulder. So, or is it shoulder or elbow, Bob? You'll know better than I am. I think it's shoulder, isn't it? AC joint.
Rotator.
Maybe?
Yeah, it's a rotator. Yeah.
So I really want it to be Aaron Jones. I will tell you that if I had one flex position open, example, right, Derek, League 2, if we have Jones and Cooper, I'm probably starting Cooper in the flex this week. So we don't know if this is PPR. We don't. In fact, I'm not sure I care. We normally lean volume, which should be Jones, but I don't trust LaFleur, so give me Cooper as well.
This is tougher. Amari Cooper's one of my starts of the week, so I have to probably go with him. But Deshaun Watson's just been, oh my God. Watching him just has been brutal. But I'm going to stick with the numbers. Man, something about Aaron Jones, man, he's so good. Like, I just feel like, I understand maybe the local Packers fans should know. I have a good gut feeling about Aaron Jones today, but I'm going to stick with the numbers and go Amari Cooper. All right. Let me upload the good old injury report for week 9. Gentlemen, I will see you guys in about 5 minutes. Let's get into this one, folks. All right, so if you guys don't know, we break down injuries. Every injury you're going to need to know for week 9. This is going to be extremely helpful. There's not only just injured skill position players, but we're also going to break down some of the notable injuries for players that are, for example, running backs, wide receivers, and we also use a lot of help from SixScore.com. Sports Injury Central. Go check them out as well. They have a new thing called the Injury Edge, which helps give you some, helping betting lines and stuff like that. If you use the code Razzball, you get 20% off. So go check them out as well. But let's break down some of the notable injuries heading into week 9 that you're going to need to know. First off, let's jump at the top. It is Drake London is out this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, we have Taylor Heineke starting. I think Kyle Pitts and also Jonnu Smith are interesting starts this week as they go too tight end heavy without their top wide receiver option. I think Bijan Robinson is a smash start, especially if you need a player in DFS. He's actually decently priced there as well. Grady Jarrett, which is one of the best defensive tackles for the Falcons, is out. They're also missing another defensive tackle in this game, less notable. But I'm starting to think Cam Akers is going to be the RB1 to own. He's starting to take more work from Madison. If I had to start one of those two, I would actually lean Cam Akers in that game, but he is not a must start, but there are some notable injuries there. Justin Fields remains out this week. Nate Davis out. Tremaine Edmonds, the stud middle linebacker for the Bears, is out as well. Jaquisky Brisker is out. So there's a bunch of injuries to the back end for the Bears in that Saints game. One of my favorite plays this week is the Saints offense at home. Derek Carr looks healthy. I like all the receivers if you got them in your lineups. I also like Blake Grupe as my kicker start of the week as well. Jumping out to the Rams-Packers game. We have Matthew Stafford is out today. Brett Rippon is the start today. Brett Rippon did start 2 games last year for the Broncos. Jerry Jeudy actually played pretty well, catching 14 passes in those 2 games. And also, I also brought up a little bit earlier that the tight ends played pretty well. So, in this matchup, Cooper Kupp should be okay. Puka Nacua is probably more of a wide receiver 3 this week than his normal wide receiver 1/2 in a tough matchup on the outside against those Packers corners. But the Packers defense, for example, is dealing with a lot of injuries. Darnell Savage is on IR. Rudy Ford is out. Razzball Douglas was traded. So the secondary is going through a lot of turnover right now. So maybe that does help Brett Rippon and also Cooper Kupp. But I still do believe that Puka Nacua, who is in this week, is more of a wide receiver 3. Rob Havenstein, the better right tackle for one of the better offensive line for the Rams, is out today. So that is notable. I think the Packers defense is on the streamer radar this week against the Rams, especially dealing with a backup quarterback. But we do want to make sure we point out that they are going through a lot of turnover in the secondary. 3 of their main starters will not be in the lineup this week. Jumping over to the Commanders versus the Patriots, we have Curtis Samuel out today. I really like Logan Thomas as a streamer tight end 1 this week. The Patriots have been vulnerable against good tight ends this season. This should also throw more targets towards Terry McLaurin and also Jahan Dotson. If you're looking for a wide receiver 3 this week, Dotson is a solid play. McLaurin should be a solid wide receiver 2. And Sam Howell is definitely on the streamer radar because on the flip side, we have a lot of injury. We not only did the Commanders trade away 2 starting defensive ends, Chase Young and Montez Sweat. With the injuries to the Patriots receivers, no Devontae Parker, no Kendrick Bourne. Demario Douglas is a solid wide receiver 3 in PPR formats if you need him. I also don't mind Hunter Henry in this game. He has been splitting a lot of work with Mike Gesicki over the last few weeks, but with the injuries to the receiving core, we should see a lot more 2 tight end sets in that matchup. I also like Ramondre Stevenson to catch maybe a couple more passes, especially with some of those defensive ends out this week. Maybe there'll be less of a pass rush on a guy like Mac Jones in this matchup. Trent Brown, right tackle for the Patriots, is out today, but that shouldn't be as impactful with the trading of those other defensive ends for the Commanders. Patriots 6 score. That's Sports Injury Central, one of our sponsors here at Razzball.com, is still at 65.7. So that's why we like Sam Howell and company in the Commanders passing attack this week, because they're dealing with a lot of injuries. Updating a previous one, Christian Darrisaw, the left tackle for the Vikings, is out today, now dealing with a backup quarterback. The Falcons are an option at defense if you need it. Not my number 1 option, but they definitely should have a streamer appeal this week. Now down their left tackle, the Vikings, and also playing with their backup quarterback with no Justin Jefferson. Jumping over to the Houston Texans versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Dameon Pierce is out today, which means Devin Singletary and Mike Boone will be his backup. If you're looking for an RB2 start, Devin Singletary should get a lot of work in this matchup. Robert Woods is out today. Nico Collins and Tank Dell remain on the outside with Noah Brown playing in the slot. I do think that both those guys, Nico Collins and Tank Dell, are options as wide receiver 3s this week, but the Bucs are pretty good on the perimeter. But both those guys should see more targets with Robert Woods out and Pierce being out as well. Amari DiMercato, Arizona game against the Browns, is out today. Damian Williams and Ingram should split work. Don't love the matchup against the Browns. The Browns defense is probably the play of the week in that one, even though they'll be down slot cornerback Greg Newsome in that matchup. Clayton Tune will be getting the start as Dobbs has been traded. Kyler Murray is not back yet as well. Jumping down to the Colts versus the Panthers, Zaire Franklin, stud middle linebacker, is out today. They have announced that Chuba Hubbard will be the starter for the Panthers. Chuba Hubbard is a solid RB2. The Colts have allowed a decent amount of production to running backs this season, and now they're deep down their stud middle linebacker. Juju Brents is also out. There's one of their perimeter cornerbacks. If you're looking for a DFS dart throw this week, we do think Jonathan Mingo is an option there in that matchup against the Colts, who are much better against slot receivers who could shut down Adam Thielen in that game. A notable 6 score under 80 is that Colts pass D, a little banged up this season, so just watch that. Josh Downs is in. Braden Smith, right tackle for the Colts, is out today. That could hurt them a little bit against the Panthers on the road in that game, so look out for Gardner Minshew, who could be on the streaming radar against a Panthers defense, by the way, who is getting healthy, but still 67.7 is a very low 6 score, dealing with a lot of injuries in the secondary. They did shut down, for example, the Texans receivers last week, but just keep that in mind. Michael Pittman is a nice start against those perimeter corners who are banged up for the Carolina Panthers. Daniel Jones is in today. That's good news. He also should have his starting tackles in Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal. However, he will be out with playing without Darren Waller against the Raiders in this matchup. However, Daniel Bellinger could be a solid streamer. Why? Because the Raiders are going to be down 2 of their starting linebackers in this game. That could really help Daniel Bellinger in the short intermediate area in this game. If you're looking for a streamer tight end, Daniel Bellinger is definitely an option there as well. The Raiders also will be starting Aiden O'Connell in this game as Jimmy G heads to the bench. Happy birthday, Jimmy G, this week. You have been benched in your leagues. All right, Bill's past D6 score is 60.8. Playing against that Cincinnati passing offense at home. Cincinnati wheels up. Higgins. T. Higgins, get him in your lineups this week. I know it's been a long year for him, but get him in your lineups, especially with Jamar Chase. We know we're starting him. Joe Burrow's a stud. Even Joe Mixon, get him in your lineups. These guys all should play very well against a very banged-up Bills team, which should be a fun one in that matchup. Finally, a couple additional ones here. We have Josh Palmer out this week against the Jets. Look for, obviously as many targets could go to Keenan Allen as possible, but Gerald Everett could be a streamer tight end this week as he gets more work, as he's back in. Deshaun Watson is playing this week as well. Just a couple additional updates. And Michael Wilson, the stud Cardinals rookie, is out against the Browns. Look for Marquise Brown maybe to get a couple more targets his way, but he's a really tough matchup against Denzel Ward and company in and let's get into it.
What up, everybody? Welcome back. We got the second half of the program here. Once again, you're on the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube show. We are here every single Sunday morning, 2 hours before kickoff. When we have these international games, which we've had for the last 2 months, we check in at the halftime of that game. So it might be a little early, a little later. Depends on the day there. But make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We got a big list of questions. We do get to all of our questions, so stand by. I know it takes some time sometimes to get to everybody, but we do get to them. And boys, I want to make sure I left off in a good spot. Is this our first question back here? Did you answer this one already from Beach DST?
That's the right spot.
All right, here we go. We got
just before you go, Sky, before you get started. By the way, guys, just want to let you know that we do appreciate any super chatters that you guys want to do. If you guys are in a rush, if you throw us a $1 donation. By the way, we also partner with Good Sports, which is a charity organization that helps kids in underprivileged communities help play sports. We're donating 10% of any proceeds we get to that organization. So feel free, if you guys are ever in a rush, just throw us $1 or $2. We'll get to your question right away. You don't have to wait in line, but also some of that money will be going to a very good organization as well.
Love that. Thank you very much. And shouts out to our friends at Good Sports. And we've all been involved and played and grew up with sports, so it's very important that we get our Utes involved there. Green Bay, DST, Minnesota, DST. I've been talking about the Packers. We all pretty much have for the morning against the Rams. The Minnesota Vikings are at Atlanta. Are we Green Bay three-way here?
Green Bay for me.
Yep. All right. Easy peasy on that one, Beach. Right on. All right. Filthy, I think we've been over this, and I hate to mispronounce names. So I'm going to go with Filthy for now. Please correct me if I am incorrect. Hey, a lot of Puka questions, boys. Puka or Olave? Man, Olave's been frustrating too. We've been seeing it bubbling, but it hasn't quite happened yet. Puka or Olave at flex? Bob?
Olave for me. I'm all in on the Saints today. Let's get it done.
Yeah, same. I couldn't have said it better. All in on the Saints.
Okay, love it. Me too. Daniel's back here. We got just a comment of the game. I love that. KCD Elite, correct. All right, and then a question here. Njoku or McBride? I believe we've gone through both these guys here. We're leaning Njoku, but the split between him and Watson and Walker have kind of been night and day. So are we going McBride? I know we had kind of mixed opinions. I've already voiced mine. I'm good with McBride here, but McBride and Njoku.
Yeah, I'm on record not going with McBride. I just don't. I don't think it's going to be there. In this case, I would go with Njoku.
These are like the two tough, like the worst matchups for tight ends. They really are not good.
Same game, by the way.
Yeah, and those Cleveland games in Cleveland are always ugly. You have Clayton Tune starting. I'm going to go Njoku slightly ahead of McBride here.
Okay, so 2 for Njoku. I'm going to go with McBride. Daniel's also got a question. Would you rather stash A.J. Dillon or Quentin Johnston with Palmer out at half PPR? Bob, it's a stash question.
Well, I don't care about A.J. Dillon. Just give me Quentin Johnson.
That's not. I mean, that's kind of rude. It's kind of rude.
Dillon
no,
is
like I
just
mean,
not. Dillon had his opportunity the first half of the year with Aaron Jones dealing with his injuries, and he didn't do anything with it. So now it's just, and they actually started phasing in other running backs. Dillon doesn't look like, he doesn't have the burst. He's a grinder, doesn't have the burst to really be a consistent chain mover either. So I would take Quentin Johnson just to see if this week without Josh Palmer, he has a really big opportunity here to like take off and potentially have a strong second half. And he's got a really tough matchup against the Jets too. So if he does anything against the Jets, you're going to feel pretty confident about him moving forward.
Yeah, same for me. Dillon's been trending down. Quentin Johnson, trending up, even slightly trending, but he is trending up. So yeah, I'd go Quentin as well.
Maddie, would you rather stash A.J. Dillon or Quentin Johnson with Palmer out in half PPR?
Dynasty?
I would assume it's redraft.
Dillon. Again, Matt LaFleur in the equation. Matt LaFleur in the equation. And I will give you a deep name that I would start over Quentin Johnston this week. And his name is Davis.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
Go look
fair
at the
enough.
Davis kid from the Chargers, and I would feel more comfortable starting him over Quentin Johnston. Johnson has been an absolute zero non-factor.
He has been, but he came on strong in the second half of last week when Palmer got hurt and was out for a series or two when he tweaked his knee. Now Palmer's out for the game. Quentin Johnson, let's not forget, folks, I know he's been a quote-unquote bust based on draft capital, but he's a top 12 pick in the NFL draft. He's the Mike Williams replacement for next year. That's obviously been sped up because Mike Williams is out for the season now. Also, Josh Palmer's out for the season. The Chargers are still going to throw the ball more than anybody in the NFL, whether they want to or not. So, and they run through the air, if you will, with Austin Eckler. So actually, I'm going for it with Quentin Johnson this week. I'm starting him and playing him in a couple of leagues. I have Josh Palmer everywhere, and I swapped him into IR, and I picked up Quentin Johnson. I'm playing him as well. ECR, expert consensus ranking across the industry, has him ranked at wide receiver 50 in PPR this week. I have him at 35, so I'm significantly higher on Quentin Johnson. Very tough matchup versus the Jets. I'm not taking that away. In New Jersey on Monday Night Football, brutal. But I do think this kid is ready for a big one, and it could be this week here. All right, let's move on here.
Nope, looks like we lost Sky there.
Yeah.
Dotson, Downs, Douglas, or Hubbard in the flex. This is the PPR. For me, this is pretty easy. It's Chuba, full workload. Andy's getting a couple targets per game. I expect that to even go up a little bit more. So for me, it's Chuba Hubbard in the flex, and I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Yep, that's two of us. No Miles Sanders, and even if Miles Sanders is in there, he's not worth even a look. So I like Hubbard as well, and we've talked about our concern for those receivers and some of their matchups. I do like Dotson. He's starting to heat up, but give me Hubbard as well.
Yep, same.
All righty. I think we're going to disagree here. We've gone back and forth. I think you're in on Everett, and I'm in on McBride. Correct?
That's right. I'm already on record going with Everett over McBride, and I don't like either one of these, to be honest, but I like the potential of Everett a little more than McBride here.
All right. You recognize this name or that half of a face?
I don't.
Neither do I. So we might have a long time, first time. Bill Deno, welcome to the show. PPR start one, Derek. Nico Collins, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore.
So we talked a little bit about the Houston Texans wide receivers. We like Tank Dell. We also like Nico Collins. I think I have Nico over these other two. I think we want to say DK, but we're just not really sure what we're going to get there. And, what's going on in Chicago, who knows? So I'm steering away from DJ Moore, although I like the player a lot, but I just don't. I'm just not comfortable putting him in when I have Nico Collins as one of my other options as well. So Nico Collins is my start here.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think the best receiver out of the three is up for grabs, right? You could make an argument for all three, but right now, after some down weeks, I think it's Nico Collins. I don't like DK Metcalf's Baltimore matchup, and I certainly don't like Tyson Bagent for DJ Moore statistics. So, Sky, over to you. You only missed one. It was a tight end question. We went back to the well. Derek with Everett, me with McBride, and then we're on to Bill, who we welcome to the show, we think, for the first time.
Got that. Sorry, guys, a little internet connection there. My bad. If it continues to happen, let me know. Yep, I'm going to go trade McBride as well. And on the previous one there, I was going to say I actually kind of like Dotson, but of that group, I'm going to stick with Downs. I know it's a tough matchup there. For this one for Bill, welcome to the show. If it is your first time, Collins, I agree with you guys. Can't trust DJ Moore. And Matt, I think you're onto something. Unfortunately, with Seahawks going across the country, better secondary, a little bit concerned about that. Mikey's jumping in as well. Patriots, Chargers. We've had Patriots, Chargers, Jets, and Packers as our DST questions so far today. Derek?
Yeah, we talked to some defense already, and I'll defer to you for the ultimate decision. But to me, I'm actually leaning Patriots here over the Chargers.
Yeah, I have them back to back right now. I do have the Chargers ahead of the Patriots. Again, I mean, Sammy Howell, last week was kind of tongue in cheek, but then it worked out. He was QB1, which is insane. But I like the Chargers versus Zach Wilson. Prime time, I just think they're going to be able to get to him. That offensive line is beat up. Elijah Vera Tucker is hurt, and there's a lot of other issues there for the Jets. So I am going to stick with the Chargers, but I do have them back to back.
Yeah, and I'll go with you. You've done the research longer or further than I have, so I'll lean with your Chargers. But I think either is fine.
William, I'm sorry, who is this?
William Jones.
And
or
actually,
is it Billiam?
We
Jones?
were corrected last week.
Yep.
Billiam Jones.
Who?
Welcome back, buddy. Billiam Jones. Good morning and welcome back to the program. Need a wide receiver flex PPR. Aaron Jones, Hernandez, Devontae, Lockett. I mean, the emoji game for Billiam, too, is absolutely top-notch. He's easily top 3 emojis for all of the Razzballers there. So shouts out to him there. But we got a flex PPR situation, wide receiver here with Aaron Jones involved and Henderson, too. So we got to pick one of these guys as a flex for PPR. Garrett?
Yeah, so I actually took this as needing a wide receiver and a flex. Since the running backs are in there. So that's what I'm prepared for. Lockett would be my wide receiver pick if that's the case, Billiam. And then I will go with Henderson over Jones in the PPR. And I'll go with the running back there for the flex, and I'll go Henderson over Jones.
So can I get a ruling on who we think Devontae is?
No, it's not Parker.
No, because Parker's out. So that has to be Adams, yes? So we can say one thing for sure. If it's Devontae Parker, he's out. We're not playing him. If it's Devontae Adams, then Derek, would you like to revisit your recommendation?
Well, I'm not going to sit Devontae Adams. So if that's the case, yes, I will amend to Devontae. I'll play the 2 wide receivers then. If it's a wide receiver and a flex, I will play the 2 wide receivers over the running backs. It's PPR. But my point is, I really like Lockett in a PPR. I would like to play him in PPR, even though it is Baltimore. I would like to play him. So if it's Devontae Adams, then I'll go with Adams, Lockett, Henderson, and Jones in that order. That would be my 4 ranked.
I'm going to stick to my Baltimore is going to be tough on Seattle. I'm going to sit Lockett. I'm going to start Devontae, and I'm going to fire the cannons for Aaron Jones. Now, the smart pick is Darrell Henderson with Green Bay being the second worst run defense. So I just have a homer's opinion that says I don't want to do that. And sooner or later, Aaron Jones is going to do what he did against the Bears and win a football game. So why not this week against the hapless Rams? So give me Jones and Devontae, pure homer picks.
Bob?
Jones and Devontae.
Jones and Devontae, too. The only reason I question it is maybe he didn't know Parker was out or something. And Devontae is DA. Not a big deal, but wanted to kind of that. Also, Billiam wanted to come in hot here and just apologize for being late. You know what, Billiam, here's the deal. Bob and I are on the West Coast, okay? That's a 6:30 Germany kickoff for us this morning. It's also early Sunday mornings. I'm not sure where you live. That's none of our business. But it's okay. You're not late. You're right on time, my man. Thanks so much for always being with us. And we're going to get back into a handful of your questions here. We got another one for you. DST questions coming in hot. And again, consistent with the emojis. Well done, Billiam. We got Vikings, Texans, Colts. If anyone has any thoughts, go ahead. Otherwise, I am bringing my rankings up once again.
Well, I'll defer to Sky. I mean, just of the three, I kind of lean towards the Texans. But again, I'm going to defer to Sky for my final decision.
I'm leaning Texans as well.
I am phoning a friend on this one.
Nice. One of your lifelines. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I have to say, quick diversion. I miss the original Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Say what you want about Regis. Let's take him out of it. But just the way it went down, the excitement before we knew everything in the world was rigged, we still had hope that like shows like that were cool. I really miss that kind of stuff. Anyway, Texans, Colts, Vikings is how I have those guys ranked. Texans, Colts, Vikings, pear, popcorn, and lollipop. No idea what your significance is on these, but I really do appreciate the emojis.
Snack time.
And it's also post-Halloween, so maybe it's still like a carnival vibe still. Bob, any objections?
I'm on record. If I got a pear in my Halloween trick-or-treat bag, I'm tossing it on record. I'm not eating that.
Pear's not a shareable fruit. It can get mealy. You can break the skin. Then you can infiltrate. You know, that's a little sketch. But a caramel apple pear or a caramel pear, whatever, instead of an apple, very good because it's not as hard. So just a shout out to the kids there.
Fantasy football and more on Sunday starts the show.
You know what we're doing here. Bob, go ahead.
I would say that I don't like popcorn. I'm out on popcorn.
All popcorns? Like all popcorn?
Yeah, every time I eat popcorn, there's just the stuff gets in my teeth. I'm out. Fair. I recently had a popcorn experience where I'm like, oh, let me try it again. And I ate the popcorn, and then I'm sitting there, and it feels like there's just something in my tooth like this the whole time. And I'm like, this is, and then I'm trying to get it with my tongue, and then I have to go floss. I'm out. I don't want responsibilities post-food. So I don't want to do it. So I'm going to sell popcorn this week. And pear, I don't even think I've ever had a pear. I don't even know what's going on there. I don't even think I've ever had one. So I don't even know if I'm in. And then that lollipop is like the one you get from like the carnival. I don't know, man.
You can't finish that.
That's too much. Honestly, I got a Billiam. I'm fading. Now I'm upset you're late because now not only were you late, but you threw bad emojis in here. I don't even know. We're gonna have to have a long conversation with YouTube about allowing you to be on our show. That's all I gotta say.
Jeez, Derek, man, Derek and Matt, we're gonna have to build Billiam's self-esteem back up here. So
maybe we should move on.
We're gonna send him a goodie box full of pears.
Yeah.
We have to. I mean, dipped in caramel. I'm telling you, man. That's
Harry and David. Shout out to sponsor Harry and David.
Billiam, sorry for the slander. It's early for Bob. It's been a rough morning in Germany. We're trying to rope him back in here, so I apologize for that. There, we do have another question for him. So Bob, if you could tone it down a little bit, help the man out. Let's move forward here. Need a tight end PPR: Everett, Musgrave, Otten, Jonnu Smith, and Bellinger. Derek.
Yeah, so I've been on the Everett train all day, and I'll continue to ride it. But I can tell you, I am a little intrigued with the arguments you guys made with Bellinger. With Daniel Jones coming back, I might be tempted to go that way just to mix up my, if if I'm running Everett everywhere, I might mix in Bellinger here. So I don't mind that play. I think you guys got me intrigued about that one.
I believe if we have a tight end whisperer on the panel, I believe the numbers say clearly it's Musgrave.
They do.
Yeah, but I'm trending off of my own bandwagon there. I'm going to go Bellinger, and I'm going to go out on a limb here that says both Jonnu and Pitts go over 60 today.
Whoa. But no touchdowns, of course.
I didn't say that.
Oh.
Saving that for another question.
Ooh.
In case we see Pitts pop up. And by the way, Bob, pairs, no Pitts.
Heyo. Bob.
So then it's Jonnu.
Yes. Nice. Way to narrow it down there. Bob, roller coasters, thumbs up or down?
Unfortunately, due to my motion sickness, they're down.
Jeez. All right. Well, Billiam, here's the deal. I love your emojis. All right, bro. So like, this is a safe space for you. You continue to deliver those emojis, and Bob can deal with it. All right.
So
Bob can suck it.
It's a tight end question, and he's got a roller coaster. That's the perfect emoji.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
No, I like the emojis here. I don't just because I used to love roller coasters when I was a kid. I just can't ride them anymore. But I will say this: I like the emojis here. It's a roller coaster. I get the emojis. This one makes sense to me. I like this, Billiam. You regained it. I like it. The previous question, I'm out on those. But this one I'm in. To answer your question, though, actually, Cade Otton, believe it or not, has one of the best matchups against the Texans this week. But based on everything, without Drake London, you got to think that Taylor Heineke have a lot more confidence that he's going to be able to throw for 250 plus. And so I'm going to go Jonnu Smith. I think Jonnu and Pitts have to play well. I mean, what are we talking about here? Mac Hollins, Van Jefferson receiving core? Like, I think Jonnu is going to be heavily involved, and I think that you're going to get some production from him this week without Drake London.
I think that is 2 weeks out of 3 that we've had a Van Jefferson drop. So shouts out to our friend Van Jefferson. Luke Musgrave does have the numbers, and the issue is the kid gets hurt every game, which is just a bummer. He doesn't play a full game. When he does, he's very effective. But I'm a little bit concerned about that. I'm gonna continue to fade Everett a little bit because we've got the Parham issue, and Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts. Who knows? So I'm gonna continue to roll with Bellinger there. But there's a lot of streaming options. All right, moving on here. Do we start Puka or Demario Douglas? A lot of Puka questions, and Demario Douglas is starting to come in hot as well. Derek?
Yeah, I've been kind of out on Puka today, and I'm gonna stay with it. I'm gonna go with Demario Douglas here. What do we think? There's more upside.
Do we think that's Kwakuzi or Kwakuze? I'm going Kwakuzi.
I think it's a soft A, so we're gonna go Kwakuzi.
Kwakuzi. Okay.
Yeah, because the Kuze would have to have an AE or an AY, right? So I think
so for our guy Kwakuzi, I'm going Puka. Puka for the Kwa.
Nice. Bob?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Do you want to join us on this one?
Yeah, no, I'm just too busy watching Jalen Waddle not catch any passes. So excuse me, everyone. Forgive me that Jalen Waddle just decides to waddle himself into my lineup and just shit the bed everywhere. Anyway, yeah, I do. I'm gonna go with Demario Douglas. It'd be nice to know if this was full PPR because I feel more confident in Demario Douglas either way. But I'm just gonna roll with Douglas.
I'm gonna lean Puka out of hope. I'm gonna lean Puka out of hope, and I want to see Demario Douglas do it twice times first. Micah's back. Good morning, Micah. Good to see you in the chat here. 1/5 PPR. Is this real? Is this a typo? 1/5 PPR. Need one running back. Darrell Henderson Jr., Jerome Ford, Devin Singletary in 1/5 PPR. Derek?
Well, I mean, if we're going on volume, it's Singletary. Ford has a nice matchup, of course, against Arizona. But honestly, I think I'm probably most comfortable with Darrell Henderson. I mean, he is still splitting carries with Royce Freeman, but seems to be running with purpose, getting it done. So of these three, I think I'm leaning Darrell Henderson.
I am leaning Henderson as well. Green Bay second worst against the run. Did I say Henderson? I did say Henderson. I will tell you, the smart play today, right? If you just take emotion out of it, is probably Devin Singletary for volume with Dameon Pierce out. However, if you've ever rostered Devin Singletary and you've ever started him with confidence, you know what he does to your roster. Nothing. He's just a big gaping hole in your roster. So a little bit of emotion, right? A little bit of past history for me. I'm going to stay away from Singletary unless I don't have another option. That option being Darrell Henderson. I'll take him. Kareem Hunt over Ford. So give me Henderson today.
I'm interested to see what his 6 score is because Jerome Ford is the easy answer here. But the thing is, like, I don't know how he came back super early from that injury. So they have him as an 86. Okay. I'm going to go Jerome Ford.
Not concerned about Kareem Hunt?
I don't think it's a concern issue. I think both guys are going to be involved. And I think Mike Boone is going to get a lot of work too. So
yeah, I've got Singletary, Ford, and Henderson literally back to back to back, which is pretty crazy. But I do give Singletary a nod in like half and full PPR. I got to be honest, Micah. Unfortunately, I don't do 1/5 PPR rankings. But assuming it's either a typo or just different settings, I'm going to go with Singletary.
He meant half.
And then Henderson. I know.
He wrote it down. He wrote it down below. He meant half PPR.
I'm giving him shit. All right, Daniel. Come for the analysis. Stay for the shit. And emoji slander. Okay. Also, fun fact: Bob's never had a pear. I mean, we all know Tom Brady doesn't eat strawberries, and that's kind of left field enough. But I mean, a pear, dude. You're a California kid now for years, and like just doesn't make sense. But I guess we'll go into that a little bit deeper another time. Daniel's back. Sit one. Nico Collins, Olave, Mike Evans, Metcalf. Derek?
I'm benching Metcalf. This one's pretty easy for me.
Yeah, same for me. Olave is going to go bananas today.
Bananas?
Metcalf.
Bob, bananas or pears?
Bananas.
Well, you can't ask me about pears. You know I haven't had.
Do you like
pears.
Bananas?
I do enjoy a banana, yeah. But at the same
gross.
time, I don't want to throw slander at pears. I haven't even met them. You know what I mean? I want to get
fair.
to know a pear. So let me have a pear. Next Sunday live, I'll have a pear on live. I'll try it live on air.
That's a lie.
We'll see how it goes.
See if you can try to get a red pear. You can go even better with an Asian pear, which I will count, but I'll leave that
Asian.
to you.
Yep.
I'm also sitting Metcalf there as well.
I don't want to wait that long. Can we do this on Tuesday night show?
Yeah, get to the grocery
nice.
store, Bob. Step up your game.
You need to get there today, though. Give it a couple days to get nice and right. So it's
you don't want a hard pear.
Tuesday night.
That'll give you false expectations.
Tune in Tuesday, folks.
Love it. Braden, what was the answer on Puka or Olave? Missed that. Puka or Olave? One more time quickly.
Olave.
Strong
Olave.
Olave with the quad box. It's back-to-back four skis. Love it. For future use, guys, Bill Dino. We got Billiam and Bill Dino. Love that. Thank you for the correction. Speaking of Billiam, once again, upset that he was late. Bob's already slandered him. We're going to move on. Daniel, Chargers or Green Bay or Atlanta? Been talking a lot about the Chargers and Green Bay this morning. I know I have them back to back. Green Bay Packers for me, then the Chargers, then the Atlanta Falcons. Anyone disagree?
I put the Falcons before the Chargers, but I still have Green Bay at the top.
Yeah, Green Bay for me.
Okay, and again, all those guys are facing, pretty plus matchups regardless. There, so I like that. Daniel back again. What was the most streamed kicker this week, Bob? We got a quick kicker analysis for us.
Like groupie folks, that New Orleans offense should be fun. I like the Bears defense to be able to shut them down a little bit in the red zone, more than last week. the Saints had 6 scoring opportunities. 5 were touchdowns, though. So, unfortunately, Group B only had 8 fantasy points for us last week, but I'm going right back to the well. I think he gets 2 field goals this week, gets us in double digits. Let's go.
And Derek, quickly, I'll put you on the spot a little bit. We're pretty confident we have no weather concerns. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I checked last night. There's not a shred of weather issue that I saw.
Got it. J-Mom, look, listeners may not be aware, but J-Mom, shouts out to J-Mom. Yes, go ahead.
You tell me a follower of this program with the handle Mom that we don't like, and I'll show you a liar on this program. We like all moms here.
Correct. And J-Mom gets an extra shout out. We'll leave it at that. But Bob, it's real quick. First of all, the Bobby. So just want to be clear on that. We're going Bobby here. That's a Bartlett pair. Let it soften. Mom's advice. I mean, that's obviously the right answer. Come back on Tuesday, folks. Watch Bob eat a pear live on air. Obviously, unfortunately, not sponsored by pears yet. But after this endorsement, I don't understand why not.
Pearmageddon.
Who's like the number one company that makes pears?
God.
Is there Big Pear? Is there like if we were to
the planet makes pears?
Yeah.
Well, I bet like
they're actually a fruit.
All right. First of all, who's
trees,
the company?
Right?
Like, what's the name of a company that sells pears?
Go to Albertsons or go to Safeway and go and grab a red one and a green one.
If there was a controversy over pears and they made a movie and they said Big Pear, meaning like big tobacco, like Big Pear who would be the company that the documentary would be on?
Danny? There is no Chiquita banana of pears.
Well, all right.
Doesn't matter. Just go find one. Go ask. Here's the best bet. Go ask, the woman in the produce aisle and say, I need to have the best pear you have, and she'll steer you right.
Okay.
Bob, Washington State and Oregon produce the most pears in the United States. In the entire world, the U.S. is number 2 with over 600 million pears produced. You're going to find a good one. We're really excited about that. Micah, we're back with you. Come for the pear analysis. Stick around for some fantasy. We got a half PPR question here. We need 1 in half PPR. Lockett, Singletary, Rashid Shaheed. First mention of him as well. Hollywood Brown, first mention, and Jerome Ford. We got a chunky one here, guys. We need 1 half PPR. Garrett?
Yeah, well, there's some good names here to consider for the flex. I'm thinking, and this is just my feel right now, I'm thinking I would go with Ford here because it's half. If it was full of PPR, I'd probably go Rashid Shaheed. But half PPR, I'm going to go with Ford.
I'm going to go Singletary. I hate it. Ford is a close number 2.
I'm going to go Ford.
Oh, man. I feel like I'm going to be the guy this week that's like, don't go Ford because of Kareem Hunt. And then Kareem Hunt doesn't play and Ford goes nuts. But that's not going to happen. So I'm going to fade Ford. I like Lockett, but I don't love the matchup. But in this group, I'm going to stick with the talent and the opportunity. I'm going to go with Tyler Lockett there. So unfortunately, that was probably no help at all. Y'all the best as always.
If you have 2 running backs, how many running backs do you have?
Oh, you have 0.
Incorrect. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0. If you have 2 running backs,
so 4.
Kareem Hunt's probably going to let you down. That's the answer.
Okay, cool. I thought you were doing like multiplication versus subtraction. I didn't know.
No, we want to stay football math only.
Oh, I wasn't sure where we were at on the PEMDAS scale. All right, folks, we got about let's call it 8 minutes or so before we sign off and get into our own rosters and settle into the couch, get some organic pear pie for the day. So make sure you drop in the rest of your questions. Let's get a last-minute flux if you have them. We do have the inflective.
Flex, so like flex position?
Yeah, but if you go XCT, that's right. That's like a double inflexive 2K. Logan Thomas, McBride, Taysom Hill this week. Derek?
Yeah, Taysom Hill for me, but Logan Thomas is very close second. You all know
I
how
agree.
I feel about McBride.
Yep, I agree. Of
Logan
those three,
Thomas.
McBride's the third.
Okay. Likewise, I agree. I agree there as well. Right now, we have caught up to all of our questions. So again, we appreciate it. Bob, one more time, can we give more of a formal shout out? I'll put you on the spot. You can mention whatever you're going to mention. After that, can you give a quick shout out to our friends at Good Sports while we have a second? But go ahead with your comment you had there.
No, I have my own start sit questions I'm going to ask you guys live today. So we have it on record. None of this behind the scenes stuff anymore, folks.
We all said Waddle last week, you liar.
No, you did. You guys said Waddle, and then I told you who I was starting, and everyone's like, well, and then everyone kind of hesitated. So it's fine. It's my fault. I take my own L because I started Waddle this week, and he sucked. Because that's what Waddle does for me. He sucks when I start him, and he's great on my bench. It's so sweet. Anyway, James
you can't
Cook.
spell LaMarco without a capital
L. Damn right. And I capitalized the M in Marco, too, because I'm fancy like that. Anyway, so Ramondre Stevenson or James Cook have PPR, folks?
Ramondre.
Yeah, Ramondre.
Oh, boy. I mean, okay. Is Leonard Fournette playing?
Doesn't matter.
No, I know. But, like, I'm not worried about Leonard Fournette himself. I'm worried about, like, taking touches, being out there as the goal line guy. Uncle Len finally has a new home. He is officially active this week. Okay. Boy. Yeah, I'll lean Ramondre. I've been Ramondre for the last couple of weeks. He's been in my trade article. I'm just a little concerned because the Patriots are just bad on offense. And maybe it's a Mac Jones day. So we'll see there. But Mac Jones?
All right.
By the way, did you see the video of Leonard Fournette at practice? He missed 0 leg days. 0.
Dude, my boy's he's three C's thick. I mean, he's obviously in shape. He's been ready for this. He's good to go there. So Hiram is back. Good morning. Coming in just at the nick of time. Great to see you again, bud. We need 2 wide receivers here, guys. Flex. We got Douglas, Dotson, Singletary, and Charbonnet. So, 2 wide receivers and a flex. So basically, we're looking to move off of one of these running backs. Am I reading this incorrectly? That looks like there's not enough guys.
Need 2 wide receiver and a flex.
Yeah.
So you have to start Douglas and Dobson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
there's 2 receivers
Douglas and
on
Dobson. So it's Singletary or
no. I'm sorry. It's need 2. A wide receiver and a flex. So
got it.
One of the wide receivers and one of the running. And then a flex.
See? Punctuation.
Give me a comma there. Just a
need 2
comma in there.
Comma.
Okay. All right. Douglas and Singletary for me.
I am going to swing for the Seattle fences a la Ken Griffey Jr. I'm going to play Charbonnet to have a bigger day than Kenneth Walker.
Oh,
and I'm going to go
God. Don't.
Douglas and Charbonnet.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
I have to say I love it.
I hate
I'm
that.
I'm a Charbonnet guy as well right now. That tide is turning. Kenneth Walker came back injured last week, played but wasn't 100%. I think that not that he takes over, but I don't think Kenneth Walker's 100%. I agree with you, man. That's a sneaky one. I like that. We all have to have a sneaky pick for the week, and that's definitely yours with Charbonnet there. So good call.
I'm going to take the 2 receivers.
Okay, cool. And I'll go Douglas there as well. Pat Daddy's back in here. The moment of the day is Bobby ranting on PPR leagues. Folks, if you didn't tune into the first, 45 seconds in, boys?
Yeah.
It was quick.
Bob just goes lit on half PPR is the best. You shouldn't get points for being good at football, like that kind of stuff. Bob and I have been arguing
that's
for
what I
5
said, Scott.
years.
I said you shouldn't get points for being good at football. That's correct.
We've been arguing for 5 years about PPR.
No, because catching a pass behind the line of scrimmage for -1 yard should get more fantasy points than a running back who runs for 8 yards. That makes a ton of sense in PPR. I'm just saying, when you look at the numbers, it makes 0 sense that a receiver should get more fantasy points for losing 8 yards than a running back carrying a ball for 8 yards. Just saying. Okay. 8 yards of carry puts you in the Hall of Fame. -1 receiving yards gets you benched.
Could you imagine 8 yards per carry?
It didn't get George Pickens benched.
Ooh. Shouts out to Deontay Johnson. Got a trade question for you. End of the day here. Okay, trade question. Pretty stacked at wide receiver. Humble flex. AJ, is that a humble brag there? Pretty stacked at wide receiver. Chase, Allen, Evans, and Hopkins. Not a humble flex. Just the truth. Great job. 14-team PPR. Looking to trade for a running back. Ideally, who do you think I can target? Let me pull up my running backs here. I think that's a great question. You can definitely get rid of this. The question I think first, guys, is going to be running out of room. Got it. Looking to deal Hopkins or Evans. I agree. You're not getting rid of Chase or Allen, so I was going to start with that. I would look to move off of Hopkins if you can. 3 touchdowns immediately. Yep. Sell high on that. Absolutely. Evans is going to continue to be that guy with our boy Baker, top 12 quarterback. If you're looking to sell Nuke Hopkins, I would buy low personally on Tony Pollard, who's going to have a terrible week again this week versus Philly. I would look at him. Kenneth Walker is pretty cheap right now as well. Hopefully Aaron Jones goes off. Maybe we believe in him again. DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, those type of guys is somebody I'd be looking at off a 3-touchdown game for DeAndre Hopkins. Any other notes there for you boys?
No, I like those names.
Swift was the name that came to mind for me.
I think the biggest issue is, AJ, is that it's hard to find a trade partner who has depth at running back. Like, you're going to have, first of all, and we need to know your starting lineups. Is it 2 receivers, 3 receivers? Because if you have a 3-receiver league and you named us 4 wide receivers, do you actually have a lot of depth? I mean, Hopkins had a really good game a couple weeks ago, but he had 4 for 60 this week. So I would say that it's easy to say to trade Hopkins, but right now, I don't know what running back you're going to get for Hopkins. Like, what's a running back right now? Like, I don't even think you could get a Jerome Ford type player for Hopkins, unless that other team has 4 solid running backs. They don't really care about their RB5. So I guess my question is, do we feel confident enough let's say it's a 2-receiver, 2 running back league and a flex. Let's just hypothetically say that. Because I actually don't know, AJ. I think you should tell us, like, how many wide receivers are you starting right now? Because I think that's important. Well, let's say it is 2 receivers. Would you trade Keenan Allen, knowing you have Evans and Hopkins? And so if that's the case, okay, if we're not going to trade Keenan Allen, we're not going to trade Chase. So Hopkins then, or Evans? I guess my only question is, I would have to. These trade questions are always tough. We need to know. So it's 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Okay. Pollard. I don't think
there's your trade.
Pollard.
That's my
Pollard
guy.
for Evans.
That's the trade right there.
I started. No. I would keep Evans if you can. Try with Hopkins first. Personally.
Yeah, Hopkins for Pollard is the trade with.
But when anybody trade Pollard for Hopkins.
I mean, I wouldn't. I'm a Pollard guy, whatever. But look, you got to think like. We think of this differently than a regular fantasy player. Think of this. Tony Pollard has had less than 10 PPR fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. He's going to get his keister handed to him again today in Philly. And then again in 2 more weeks when they play Philly again. Like, I like Pollard moving forward. I want a piece of that offense, whatever. Hopkins is probably somebody I'm not looking to start, but I'm going to have to, hoping it's for big games, coming off of easily his biggest game of the season. So if I can make a lateral move of a player with upside like Pollard, who's as low as he's possibly going to be, for a low end of player who's as high as he possibly can be, that's trade 101 in my opinion. Yeah,
but Hopkins just played on Thursday. He had 4 for 60. It's not like he just had his biggest game. We just saw him again on Thursday.
No, I understand, but that's still. I mean, he's still like getting the work, and we saw the potential already. And again, you can't make that trade with Hopkins anyway right now. So Pollard probably is coming off another dud, but I think has upside. So
I don't think you're going to get that trade. I don't think you are. But let's be honest. Would you trade Evans if the guy goes, I don't want Hopkins, but I'll take Evans for Pollard? Would you guys make that deal?
I'd rather have Evans.
Yeah, I would stick with Evans as well, but I do like Hopkins. If you can make the Hopkins for Pollard deal, I'm doing that.
Okay. Yeah, so he needs a wide receiver anyway.
He needs Hopkins because Pickens may not see the field again with his attitude.
I agree.
He will see the field, but you know what I'm saying. He's not endearing himself to Kenny Pickett.
Well, yeah, and Tomlin doesn't handle that kind of stuff either. Yeah. So, I mean, look, AJ, try for Hopkins. You're stacked at wide receiver. We went over that. If you're willing to get rid of Evans, go ahead. But I think Pollard, Walker, those are the type of guys. And you put Kamara in here somewhere. Like, if you get Kamara for anything, do that.
What if instead we then go after Kamara and say, would you then deal Evans / Allen for Kamara?
I would do Evans and Hopkins for Kamara.
I would do
I don't think you're going to get that deal though. Would you do Keenan Allen for Kamara straight up?
No, dude. I'm a Chargers homer forever. No. Okay. And the only person with more PPR fantasy points or receptions per week is probably Keenan Allen than Hubbard. Okay. Hiram's back. Great job, boys. Forgot to add Devonta Smith, which I think it's a must start. So let's go back to that question just for a second. And I agree. So we need 2 wide receivers. That's Douglas and Dodson, Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is the auto start out of that group. Are we all clear on that?
Yes.
Okay. Oh man, look at this. At the buzzer here, Lindorfin's coming in hot. Didn't have any questions this week, but just came in to wish everyone good luck. Folks,
thank you,
this is the definition of a good clubhouse guy. We'd love to see this. Great sportsmanship. Well done, Lindorphins. Thank you so much. AJ, appreciate you coming through here. And Benguin, get it? Like Penguin, but not. It's Ben because it's probably his name. Benguin. Wait. Benguin02, YT, Pollard Olave, White. That's Rashad White or Roddy, but I doubt it because Roddy's out this week. So that's Pollard, Olave, Rashad White, PPR at flex. Derek?
Olave for me.
Olave for me.
Olave.
Olave. Thank you always, AJ. Appreciate you. Beach. Thanks for the input. Appreciate you guys. Have a great Sunday. Beach, you as well.
I've got my blow the hat off your head statement for the day, right? Maybe we can keep Bob quiet for the next 4 minutes so we don't lose any more viewership. Today is the running back PPR games of the year. It's going to be Kamara, it's going to be Bijan, it's going to be Ramondre, it's going to be Pollard, and it's going to be, I had a fifth guy, Rashad White. Those guys they're going to carry the headlines this week. PPR running backs are going to carry the load.
I like that. Bob, quick question here. Not even a lineup question. I'm playing him, but thoughts on my boy Brandon Aubrey at Philly.
Outside, yep. Weather's fine.
Dallas should move the ball a little bit here.
Let's see here.
Folks, we got 30 seconds for any last-minute questions. 30 seconds for last-minute questions. Otherwise, we're going to be tuning off. And we can talk off screen, Bob. No worries. Why don't you sign us off here so we can make sure to give everyone the shout-outs they deserve. And
TikTok, you don't stop. TikTok.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. We appreciate you. 2 hours every Sunday live. We do 2 hours of start-sit questions, and make sure you jump on to the Razzball Fantasy YouTube and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here on Tuesdays breaking down every game takeaway. We're going to break down the waiver wire and trade targets for the upcoming week. And then make sure you join us all the way through as we have the Dynasty Diehards. We have the start sits with B-Don and DT. And then we have our matchup show on Friday. So the Razzball Fantasy YouTube is popping, folks, for the second half of the year. Once again, I'm your host, Bobby LaMarco. Make sure you follow these guys. You got Derek Favre, you got Matthew Stiles, you got Sky Gawasko. The handles are on the screen because we're professionals and we know how to do it right. Make sure you guys always subscribe to our TikTok and IG. And, of course, make sure you go to razzball.com. We have the great articles, everything you need to win your fantasy leagues. Thank you for joining us once again. We are out of here.